Like you can sit here and say, is there anything that you can deep dive towards? 9160, probably not. Is there a trend? Maybe.
Well, I had a 15-minute downtrend now, which actually deep dived to touch this level.
Which one?
15-minute. Wait, let me see where it started. I had it start at 9188. Yeah, I think. Wait, where is it? Oh, you're on the 1 minute still. Okay. Yeah, it's a 15-minute downtrend I had.
Very good on that. There's actually a 4-hour downtrend that it just deep dived a little to that level.
Okay.
There's nothing to deep dive here. Not that I'm seeing anyways. Anyways, I can't tell that because the move is already so close in the move right now. But this is like a good example of like a knife catch, right? But if it keeps holding this level, hard closes 1 minute, I'm out. There is nothing else here. There was nothing, not that I saw anyways. I did this quickly today, but there's nothing else all the way up here at 9160. There's nothing else here. I don't think there was a 3 minute anywhere. There's a 3 minute right here.
I think your greedy level there was a 5 minute.
This is a 1 minute.
Okay.
Right, yeah, that's a 1 minute.
Right, what you entered on, was that not a 5 minute on the 1 minute?
There's a 5 minute, but it's back here, 9126. I just took the greediest level. As always, I'll just take the greediest level, right? Like I put my order at 91.
Sorry, yeah, I marked it as a 5 minute, and then I just pushed it up to the 1 minute level.
Yeah, and you can mark the 5 minute here, and you can mark the 5 minute here, and if it breaks this, you have to be careful, right? Like you can mark this like this and put 5, right, like this, and you can put the 3 here, right, like this. And if it starts breaking these time frames, like that this thing, like those are the points. But this is just like the perfect knife catch. So this should be like a pretty good trade. Like this should be hopefully something down to this region here, like a full 1%, or even hopefully much lower. Actually, I'm hoping it goes to that 8,900 level down there. Then in this trade you would just look to break this, and if this breaks, see where it swings to, and if it starts hard closing timeframes, get up. Very simple. But the deep dive, that doesn't exist here. Like it's not always going to exist, but there are times like Saturday where it's like, yeah, I think this can deep dive to 9060 because there's enough there that gives it reason to do so. You know what I mean? Like you can see where deep dives are going to happen sometimes. Like Saturday was a good example because Saturday, what was it on Saturday? There was a trend that was close on Saturday. So not only was there a trend that was pretty close, but there was trend, and there was a level that was a little bit below it that was close enough. And we were too close to price to knife catch. Like if you're $30 away from your knife catch price, it's like you can't be right here and say, oh, 50% away. That's different, right? Like if you're sitting at this level for 15 or 20 minutes, you're not going to knife catch $15 up. You're going to deep dive to the next level. That doesn't mean this won't hold. It just means it's going to go like this and rip right down. That's what it means. It's going to go down even harder. So that's what was happening Saturday, was that it was too close to its 1 minute hold level, and it was holding for too long. Because when it starts to hold for too long like that, and it starts to create these cycles, it's not going to, oh, we haven't hit the level yet, let's hit this and reject. No, it's like if there's a deep dive level here, it's going to hold this level off of that. So it's going to rip up straight to there and go down. So that's like that 9060 level was, but I think it happened a little differently on Saturday. But 9060 I think there was trend and a level that was approaching that day at 9060, and that's why the deep dive made sense.
And the original level is still the data point that you use for your hard closing of not
the 1 minute,
right? Not the level that it deep dove to.
Yeah, exactly. And so here's a perfect scenario where it's like this. Okay, let's do a different scenario. Maybe this move actually comes up like this, tests here, but it's sitting like right here for a few minutes. This is a 5 minute level you're going to hard close. So if it sits there for 10 minutes, yeah, okay, it's got like a little ladder here, and it's got a micro ladder and another little micro ladder and all this stuff like that, right? Like, fine, it's got all these micro ladders, but it keeps holding up against this 1 minute level. Guess what? You maybe got the best entry, but you're going to rip over it soon. Like, it goes here and it goes like this and it kind of holds right here. Yeah, you're in the best entry and it looks like it's about to break, but then it closes a 5 minute and goes like this and then goes like that, right? Because it's like the 5 minute is here and you're closing over top of it. Maybe, like, you really need this thing to knife catch down. Otherwise, it's just going to, and so we can create our first trend to there now, at least. But do you see what I mean about maybe that 5 minute level is like down here, for example, in this case, because this is common. And it starts to close here, right? It starts to close here and starts to break trend and close here. And you're like, oh, should I get out? Yeah, you probably, like, I wouldn't say get out because you still got the knife catch, but then you got to see where all your levels are, right? Because that's where, that 5 minute level might close and it might try to hold this 1 minute level, but it might deep dive something else, hold this 1 minute level, but this 5 minute close, but there was a 15 minute that's not closing. You see what I mean? So you have to consider all timeframes relevant. It's a lot more work we're getting into, but it's also going to give you guys a lot more clarity in these moves.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, but sounds hard.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
I was just
now,
about to say that.
Yeah. And we couldn't get into this before because it's like, okay, well, as always, we have to learn the steps to get to that point. But this is, when things are going to deep dive, you can tell because maybe there's like, where's the 15 minute level here? Here's a good example. What if it starts a hard close over this? This is the 15. Where's the hourly, right? Like, yeah, it's laddering down, but it's laddering down while closing over a 15 minute. You see what I mean? So it's like, oh, yes, it's laddering down, but hey, it only laddered down so much. And it starts to hold this level while still laddering down. But maybe it does that in such a stupid time. It's like 10:52. Oh, it just spikes back up here in the next 8 minutes. And then where's the hourly? Like, what about that? We don't really have an hourly, do we? We have this that's continuously holding the move, but now that's getting even nittier, but okay, so fine. And this is the hourly here, but that's already laddered. So you'd be here and this is holding the move. You're right here. So I wonder if you hold this is the 1 hour, right? So this is your 1 hour right here. It's tested. It goes up and over. We need to make this one orange. Just because I'm getting stupid time frame stuff happening in my brain.
I keep trying to take the colors away, but I can't.
Yeah. I just do it with one line, one level, because really the greediest level. Like I don't need this. I don't need this. I'll be out of the trade before that. But this stuff will help you guys, right? Like this could be a closed trade here. We'll see. I'm just gonna let it see where it goes. It hasn't really developed any hold levels yet. It's still laddering down. It sure does look like it's trying to move up here. It's a decent knife catch, but I don't know how decent it is. There's a good amount of volume, but not good enough, I don't think. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm just gonna leave it. I'll probably just stop out a little over where I entered. But yeah, I mean, the next level is at like what, 9160 or something crazy like that. It's up there for sure. It's up there for sure. 9160, yeah. 9157. This kind of looks like the perfect level, so I want to give this a little bit of time to develop. I also want to see like where the 3-minute trend is created, where a 5-minute trend will be created. Yeah, deep diving levels is something that is definitely a flavor, like something you absolutely have to get used to. It's not an easy task by any means.
Well, I think that that tidbit about looking at, like more information on the data points, like hard closing, what time frames and things like that. That seems like, what is that a part? Is that part of just chart architecture overall, or is that a part of like how levels hold? It just seems like it's like very time frame relevant then, like even a small part of the move. Yeah, that small part where you talked about. Sorry, I'll let you manage the trade real quick. I know it's coming up.
No. Go ahead. I'm listening. I'm watching it at the same time. I've got a stop
Okay.
limit at 91.36. So I'll take my $5 of risk here.
That part where I was like, oh, that sounds hard, but it sounds very useful. When do we start to kind of like, I guess, use that knowledge? Because like it seems, that part where we talked about, even if like, it's holding a 1 minute level, but it could be closing a slightly higher 5 minute level. That kind of makes me think a lot about the trades that I take, because you don't really see what's going on then, because just since we didn't have the knowledge. I guess, is there a way to practice that, or is there something that like we're gonna work on in regards to that aspect?
So yeah, we'll be working on it for sure. I think it's something that you have to like from this moment, look at your levels that you're trying to buy and see where they can deep dive to. Like that's super important, right? Like you got to look at your levels and where they could possibly be and where they can possibly go. That's a good distinction. Like here, for example, like this is perfectly fine. We just want to create a trend and some kind of hold level. Like we just want to create some kind of hold level, hopefully, presumably right here. This is just going to fall straight down, and we have a hold level. So managing this move, this is the chart architecture we look at in this move right now. Like, okay, good. We have at least some kind of semblance of a trend. We have something that could possibly be a hold level. If this can't develop, the trade is looking worse and worse. This is starting to develop nicely. So you know what I mean? Like this is how we would do chart architecture right now. Like, okay, let's hope this goes down. If you break this trend, really, you're going to be in trouble. But yeah, okay, fine. You need to see if the larger time frame is just going to continue to hold. But at least you have a trend to hard close to get out now. So, and hopefully this 1 minute move pulls back. If it doesn't pull back, the hold level's not really created, is it? So it's kind of there, but it's not as clean. You just want like a nice, clean, like straight through hold level. So, if this thing is going to dump, you want it to dump now here in the next, 30 seconds or whatever's left on this move. So like this is the first part of chart architecture. Like I would say start practicing is like this. Like, okay, this is what we are trying to develop right now. So developing things on the fly, right? And then saying, here's the greediest hold level, here's the next hold level that could hold. So developing things on the fly is important because this will give you a better grasp of the move in the moment. We didn't have anything to deep dive here. So there was nothing to look at. We are simply just going from hold level to hold level to hold level. And I haven't actually gotten able to do any work. This was the only trade I had set up to take for today. This or down low, like at 89.50 there. So I'll take this to 89.50, hopefully. If it goes above this, I'm not prepared to take those trades because I simply didn't do the work. This was kind of like, oh, I can't see it going past this level. If it does, I won't be taking another trade because it's just, again, I simply haven't done the work. Oh, okay. Well, that was a little bit of a move there. So we're just going to wait for the hard close on this level here. We're not going to get too worried about this because this is like, yeah, I'm just going to wait for this hard close before we decide if we're getting out of this trade or staying in it, because this is an important moment here. Definitely want to wait for the hard close. You don't want to get too anxious here because, again, it's deep diving the level, right? Like it gives perfect opportunity for a short. The higher it goes there and the quicker it goes up, it gives a perfect opportunity for a short, right? So we have our trend. We don't have a hold level yet. Hopefully we create one pretty nice here pretty quickly. We're still in profits in the trade, not much, probably just break even at this point, but it's better to take a break even position than be behind the ball, that's for sure. The 1 minute hard close brings this thing to 91.50. So again, it's just not worth the risk because it could deep dive 91.50 and you can get liquidated, right? So yeah, you're really just looking for the development of this here. I mean, it does look like it's going to develop a move down. I mean, yes, it's pushing up, but it also does look like it's trying to develop a move down. So yeah, it's good still. I'll get out when it makes sense to get out. Now that's something else I would say. Get out when it makes sense, not when you get scared.
That's actually an interesting comment. Yeah, because you're really on the edge of being spooked, aren't you?
I mean, yeah, it takes 1 second to click a button and you've got 60 seconds to do it. So maybe we have like 5 seconds of brain delay, but get out when it makes sense to get out, not when it feels like it's right. That's an important thing. Because this is like a good example. Like, look, oh, it deep dove the level. Like, what if this is the final piece of this? Like, did it just hold the 5-minute level? Yeah, actually, it just opened a new 5-minute candle and also the 15-minute. So, you know, like the longer this thing holds, the more it's developing as well off this level, as long as it's not breaking the level, right? So that's another thing to realize, like it's developing on both sides. So be aware of what's developing on either side here. This definitely does look like a good ladder point to me on the hourly candle. I mean, this thing has been laddering down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in a row. I don't know why all of a sudden it would just stop that. You know, you've got everything working towards you now, especially with that hourly close. But again, you just have to wait here and see what happens, right? Like, I wonder if this is a point that, I don't know where trends are or anything on this. So it's kind of tough for me to say like what's happening for sure. But anyways, I'm just managing this as a 1-minute trade anyways. It's just the greediest point on the chart. I'll get out when it makes sense. Where could our hold level be now? It could hopefully be here. That stuff's all tested. Hopefully it pulls back and it can be here. You want to develop some kind of hold level that can protect the move, but you haven't done that yet. You just have a trend and you have this hold here. So, you have two things left. Get out when it makes sense, not when it's.
So, for example, if there was a 5-minute level right here, and it was kind of holding in this range for a few candles.
Right, I think there is actually. There's that 5-minute level right here, which it's holding.
Right. So if it was holding above that for a while, like off of your knife catch, you would be kind of looking at like, oh, it's holding this 5-minute.
For sure. Like that's something to be very aware of. Like you're lingering in this price. Was there any 5-minute closes, right? Like I was watching that on my other screen here. I was watching the timestamps. Like you definitely need to be aware of that, because it's like, here's a 1-minute. What happens when this 5-minute hard closes? Oh shit, now you're in it. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to be careful there. You have to be same here with a 3-minute. Like, so you start holding up here, right here for 2 or 3 more minutes. Guess what's happening? Guess what you're closing, right? So get out again, get out when it makes sense, not when it feels like you should. You get out when it makes sense. Because this is like 5-minute right here, didn't close. So 1 minute, you're here and it's like, oh, this looked like it tried to kind of do that here. Over top of the 5 minutes, started to try to hold over top of it. This went over top of it, definitely spooked some people out. Deep dove for even better entry, another $4 better entry. Yeah, $4 better entry. A little bit of a deep dive. This thing could have went all the way up to 91.40. But again, if it doesn't make sense to get out because you don't have your indications to get out, then just like don't get out, right? Like it would be silly.
Mm-hmm.
But just on that point, Cotton, excuse me, on that 5-minute level, and this was brought up earlier about deep diving. Are you waiting for a 5-minute candle hard close or a 1-minute hard close?
5-minute candle hard close. The 5-minute for sure.
Yes. In its own time.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So then this wasn't a knife catch move per se.
I would call it a knife catch. It depends what it does. Like it's not there yet. Like look at what it looks like on the 15. Kind of looks like a knife catch, right? Or even on the 5. It's not a knife catch like this one where it's like straight up, straight down.
Right.
Again, it's trying to ladder down to 8,900 and break its range. Like it just had a big move down yesterday. So like, is this the top of the move down to 8,000? You always have to ask that. Like, and look at the external factors. Like, look at how the 4-hour looks. Like, are we all of a sudden gonna just? Oh, just kidding. The 4-hour just broke, right? Like this is it. This is the moment that it's, like this could be it to 8K. Like you always have to ask yourself that question, right? Like time you like start to do these slow ladders like this, once the moment that it falls off a cliff, right? Like look, slow ladders, falls off a cliff. And each time that ladder point is the highest entry. So, you presumably go down to the next hold level. So for it to be in this moment right now and be breaking up would be definitely unexpected. Let's say that it would definitely be unexpected.
Sorry, what was your explanation of why that's unexpected?
Because of the larger ladder.
Okay. But that's not per se the top of a range, right?
One range, I don't know which range you would be thinking. Yeah, like it's a part of a range.
Right. Like
there's lots of ranges. It could definitely go,
because there was that
Oof, this thing's making a fight to break this ladder, isn't it? I'll see what it does here. Remember, the hard close. If it holds here too long, obviously it's hard closing other time frames.
I'm just flipping through the time frames all the time.
You've got trend here, you've got your actual level. Hard close 91.28 is the moment, right? Like that's the moment. It's the moment you get out. What do you got here? 7 seconds. It's not a hard close on anything yet, though. Oh, there it is. You can hard close a trend here, but you can't hard close the level. Sure does look like it's trying to break up, though. Hard closed its 1 minute hold, so you have to be careful here because it did hard close this hold right here. It did hard close this. So when are contracts going to close out and all the big money is going to exit this trade, or is there going to be new active contracts opening shorts because this is holding its move? Like that's the next part, right? Yeah, like it's holding its move on the 5 and the 3. This is where I'd be worried about starting to close over top of this level. Like you start closing over this, that's where I'd get worried. That's, you know, another 10 minutes away here. So I don't think that's even going to be relevant right now. Maybe if this one had closed above 5 minute and then you would, you know, have another 5 minute candle there, but.
This one's still on the line. It doesn't count as a hard close either. The 1 minute over trend.
Nope, no hard closes yet. It definitely looks like it's about to break up though, so you have to be careful because you don't want to, you know, be on the side of losing money on this trade. But again, we're just not there yet. It's just like it's still trying to ladder down. You have to be careful if you lose this trend in 20 seconds. Although it's not like the ultimate trend in the move, you definitely want to be careful here. You're not at a loss. So like here's another thing to think about. You're not at a loss if you exit your position. If it moves down, you just miss money that you never had to begin with. But if you lose money on this trade, you're actually out money. You see what I mean? So this is just something where you have to be careful. And I would probably just move my trend now to here. This will break both pieces of this move break and it's gone. You're kind of at that moment, but that's exactly where people like, you know, the knife catch, or is it developing a short, or is it relonging, right? Like it's all right there. You know, now you're threatening to close a 5 minute. Oh, what about the 3 minute? Oh, so that's the moment right there, the 3 minute. We got to be careful of this. This is what you need to be careful of, this 3 minute hard close. I think that's a 3 minute. Yes. So we need to label this actually. This is what you have to be careful of. A 1 minute hard close over this trend and I would be out. So you have to be very careful here. This is like the last moments of the trade. See how it closed over the 3 minute? Now we need to be careful. Yep. It's gonna be time to get out real soon. Yep. I'm out. There it is, 3 minute hard close.
Wow, that's so crazy to see. I think that's a great example of a logical exit.
Mm-hmm. Well, you lost no money. Like maybe what, $1 or $2? Literally happened on the moment, like in the actual moment that you were able to see that. So pretty perfect example today of how to use
You
it.
manually exited, yeah.
I don't think it could have got any better.
It didn't hard close the 1 minute level, but it was the 3 minute that was relevant here.
Yep. Oh, well, you can see why though. You can see why it's going to do that. It's because sometimes it's not the 1 minute, right? Sometimes it is a 3 minute, but I don't think you guys could have got this without being here in this moment in these trades. Like I'm not prepared for where this is going. I have no idea. There's a level here at 91.61. I have no idea. I'm not even going to presume to take a trade here. Looks like that was it. That's a lot of volume that just came in. But maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not prepared to take any other trades here. So I simply just stay out of the trades until this was my trade, 91.29. Didn't happen, so be it.
So it's the next one.
I mean, it depends what this is, right? I have no idea. There's already this here too at 74, so you could go after this. Yeah, there's lots of 1 minute untested levels, as there always is. It's just which one is the one that's going to hit and it pulls it back. I don't know. I haven't looked at this. You probably just start with the hourly here and see where it goes. But yeah, that's like a really, really great example of, actually, that looks like it was a pretty good level. Ladder. Can go after this, actually. Can't go above that. 91.74 would be where to take the trade. Oh, I wonder if there's...
I had a 1 minute 9181. I put my order at 9179. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's a good level. So the thing today was like a really great example of how you guys can see when big piece of chart architecture that you were missing and not missing, right? Like when a move is hanging around like this. This is funny because this is exactly what we talked about, and I tried to find an example of all day long, where you have like a 1 minute hold level, but there's some other time frame that's closing right on top of it, right? And then when that closes, it's like, okay, get the hell out of the trade, because that's what you're not seeing. Like, oh, how do we tell? Like, I think this is something that Dilbert has asked a few times. Like, oh, sometimes it's holding a 1 minute and then it just melts right through. Well, this is how you see it. You see the other time frames closing. And as time goes on in the trade, you'll see like, oh, there's a 15-minute trade. Like maybe this had gone all the way out to here, right? Maybe it's all the way out in this region. Then you have to start looking at bigger time frames. Then you have to start looking at like the 15-minute time frame and some of these larger things, right? So that's yeah, great in the moment example, that's for sure.
That's really good. It also, I think, might indirectly answer another kind of question per se I have, and maybe not. But you know, when a move is not per se knife catch, is kind of hanging around the level a bit, like say here. Oh God, it doesn't work. I don't know why it's not drawn. Okay. Anyway, it's. I don't know if I was. Yeah. So I just zoom out a bit, or anywhere, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. So any of these places here, yeah, it's not actually doing it for whatever reason. But you can see in the middle of your screen there, you know, it'll kind of go up and sort of like
right here,
threaten to break up, or even towards the middle, anywhere, I suppose, where it'll actually, you know, hang around the level and then break down.
Yeah.
It's probably hard closing on a higher. It's hard closing below an inverse on a higher time frame, like there, exactly where you are. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's very possible. Absolutely. Like
so often I'm in that situation where I'm not sure whether I should be getting out. It looks like it's about to break up, but it probably is.
This, for example, 15 right here. It's trying to hard close this, or maybe even this one right here. Yeah, I know what you mean, and you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you repeat your question, Dilbert?
What he was talking about there is obviously, you know, could be holding above your inverse and threatening to hard close it. But what I'm often in a situation where, you know, the same thing, it's just hit off your level and sort of hanging around. But instead of actually hard closing over your level, it's hard closing under the inverse. So I know to kind of stay in, because, you know, when it's hanging around, you're not sure whether to stay in or not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, in a lot of cases, maybe it's hanging around, but below the inverse, you know, so it can give you a bit more confidence to stay in.
Yeah, so he means that like as time is developing, we're looking at this, but maybe back here over the sample of a larger piece, it might be closing over, if say this was a 15-minute, it might have closed over this right here. This presumably could have been a 15-minute, but you know, given the sample size of the totality of the move, we can only see, you know, what's in those time frames. So we use the 3 and the 5 and whatever parts are in here, but over time, the longer it sits over here, it may be closing above or rejecting the hold level of a bigger time frame. That's what Dilbert is saying, which is true.
So even if it closes, for example, where you drew that level, like if there's a 15-minute level here, and it's hard closing in this area, but you can still knife catch like the 1 minute levels that we tried to.
You can, and we did, and we got out before it took a big move up, right? Like hopefully it doesn't pull back indefinitely here. Like hopefully it's just on its way up to this 91.81 level. Hopefully this wasn't it, but this kind of does look like the one, like it is it. But we'll see, I guess. I don't know. We got to just wait for this to develop all day. But 91.81 is great, and all the way down to 80.50, which is over 2%, close to 3 actually, which would be nice. 918.27, and you've got 91.81 to 89.50, so you've got 220. So yeah, roughly 2.45, I think, around there. So hopefully we can get that. From here to 89.50, it was. What was it? Yeah, it was 89.60. Oops. So like here it's
89.60, 89.50. Yeah.
56.
Well, 89.46 on the greedy, wasn't it?
Yeah, 40. So we could just call it like, So it's 2.45%. Like 89.56 was where I put my order at, or we'll put my order at, and then hopefully you have this 2.45. Damn, my math was really good on that one. Yeah, and so that's that's what you end up with here in this move, and hopefully that's what it is, and it does indeed ladder off this next point and move up. This was a great example because we saw the 3-minute close, the seconds before, and that 3-minute closes, and the second you see that thing moving up, it's just like, you got to get the hell out, because it's like the trend is breaking. It's the 3-minute that breaks the trend. It's not the trend that breaks and then you're out before it takes a move down, because that's commonly what happens to people. So I think this lesson is going to help you guys a lot with understanding when to get out of a move when you have kind of this new set of information to work with now. I think it's going to give you guys some really, really cool dynamic stuff to work with, a little more challenging, but definitely getting to that point where it's, deeper information is needed. So yeah, you definitely have a lot to work with here in a good way, because now when you're in a move and you don't know when you should hold or not, we start with a 1-minute hold level. Buy there. If it executes, then you have a set of criteria that you can develop around it to say, okay, this is where I exit, and like I said, and where Pat said, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, get out when it makes sense. Oh, we have a 3-minute hard close, on a 3-minute hold level. That makes sense to me. Get the heck out, right? Like that's where you see a move break up. Like that's the moment it happens, right? So it's not always about that 1-minute level, because you didn't have a hard close 1 minute. I don't even know if this thing. Yeah, technically it hard closes, but by then, what are you getting out? Like way up here? Like we got out like right at 91.30. Like it was perfect. I think my exit was like 91.31. It was literally perfect. So it cost me $2 that trade, which is pretty good, because otherwise I would have been liquidated. So that's a pretty big distinction there. Might not be liquidated to this level, but maybe on the deep dive you would be. Yeah, like around here, you'd probably get liquidated, something like that. So you'd be close.